3 years married. 0 people who knew. Naledi Kumalo had gotten disturbingly good at treating her own husband like a stranger, right up until the day he became the man deciding whether her life's work survived or died on a spreadsheet. Every morning after that was a small act of self-control she was slowly losing. No lingering eye contact across the boardroom table. No walking out to the car park together. No sitting beside each other at the weekly briefing. No acknowledgement ever that the reserved, exacting shipping air everyone in that office quietly feared went home every night to her, and only her. The rules were supposed to make things simpler. Instead they made everything unbearable. Especially on the night he finally decided he was done pretending, crossed a ballroom full of donors, cameras and board members, took her hand in front of all of them, and said the only 2 words that mattered. My wife. But that moment, the one that would end up on 3 different news sites by morning, didn't come out of nowhere. It was the end result of months of hiding, negotiating, and quietly breaking under the weight of a secret that was never supposed to get this complicated. To understand how Naledi ended up standing in the middle of the Ocean Horizon Gala with 200 pairs of eyes on her, you have to go back to an ordinary Tuesday morning. Back to the quarterly review meeting that changed everything. Back to the moment she realized the 2 halves of her life, carefully kept an ocean apart, were about to collide in the worst possible way. Because before the gala, before the applause, before anyone knew the truth, there was just a conference room that smelled like instant coffee and printer toner, and a woman who had absolutely no idea her entire world was about to be rearranged. Naledi sat near the window of the Ocean Horizon Trust's field office in Durban, trying to look more awake than she felt. Quarterly review days were always long, full of funders asking questions nobody on the science side wanted to answer with real numbers. But this one felt different. Everyone kept whispering. Phones kept lighting up under the table. Did you hear? Thandai leaned across the aisle, eyes bright with the kind of gossip that made her forget to whisper properly. Head office is sending someone from Busan today to go through the books line by line. Naledi straightened. She'd heard the rumors for weeks, about overspending, about a foundation-wide audit, about programs getting quietly shut down to protect the parent company's shipping margins. Everyone in marine science had been nervous for a month. I heard he's brutal, another colleague murmured. My cousin's NGO in Cape Town got their funding pulled after his review. 2-day visit gone by Friday. Maybe he's ugly, Thandai offered, not bothering to hide her grin. That would help. The office door opened. The room went quiet fast enough that Naledi could hear the aircon humming. A man walked in and her entire body went cold. No. No. Choi Sung-ho stood in the doorway in a charcoal suit that had clearly never been near a South African summer before. His expression composed, unreadable, professional. His eyes moved across the room and caught on her for exactly 1 second too long. Naledi forgot how to breathe. This was not possible. Her husband, the man she had kissed goodbye at Oliver Tambo 11 weeks ago, promising him she'd see him again, when Busan finally lets you come up for air, was standing in the doorway of her office, about to decide whether her project lived or died. Good morning, he said, his voice level, giving absolutely nothing away. I'm Choi Sung-ho. I'll be leading the portfolio review this quarter. I know this isn't the visit anyone wanted, but I'd like to understand this program properly before any decisions are made. Thandai grabbed Naledi's arm under the table. Okay, he is not ugly. That is extremely unhelpful information. Naledi couldn't answer. She was too busy keeping her face neutral while her brain screamed at full volume. Her secret husband of 3 years was now the man auditing her funding. And from the careful way he was not looking at her, he was exactly as blindsided as she was. The meeting stretched on for 90 minutes that felt like 90 years. When it finally ended, people filed out buzzing about the new auditor from head office. Naledi stayed in her seat, both hands flat on the table like it might stop the room from spinning. Dr. Kumalo? She looked up. A composed young woman in a tailored blazer stood beside her chair. Ms. Yoon, she would later learn, Sung-ho's assistant, flown in with him for the review. Director Choi would like to see you in the site office at 5. Everyone within ear. If this story has you hooked already, do me a favor and tap that subscribe button before we go any further. You are not going to want to miss what Naledi does next. Sung-ho's jaw tightened. That was different. You were building the program, I was overseas. We agreed to wait for the right moment. I know. I'm not angry. I'm just... She paused, searching for the right words. I wasn't ready for this particular version of complicated. Neither was I. They looked at each other across the borrowed desk. Naledi wanted to walk around it, wanted to fold herself into him the way she hadn't been able to in 11 weeks. Instead she stayed exactly where she was. Fine, she said finally. We keep it quiet. But Sung-ho, this is going to be hard. We work in the same building for the next 3 months. We'll be careful. Ms. Yoon already suspects something. Ms. Yoon suspects everyone. It's her job. Naledi shook her head. I should go. I've already been in here longer than any of the other project leads. She stood and he stood too. For a second she thought he might come around the desk. He didn't. I'll see you at home, he said quietly. Yeah. See you at home. She left before she could do something reckless, like cry in front of the man who was about to decide her project's future. That night, their rented flat overlooking the Umjanai River felt like the only honest room left in the city. Sung-ho was already there when she arrived, jacket off, sleeves rolled, looking more exhausted than she'd seen him in months. Hey, he said. Hey. Just like that, the day's strangeness dissolved. This was their space. No colleagues, no watchers, no titles. He pulled her into a hug and she let herself go slack against him for the first time in 11 weeks. I missed you, he murmured into her hair. You saw me 4 hours ago. In a conference room. Auditing my program. That doesn't count. That was Director Choi and Dr. Kumalo. This is us. She pulled back to look at him. Is that what we're doing? Splitting ourselves in half. Only at work. He touched her cheek. If you want me to tell everyone tomorrow, I will. I mean it. Naledi actually considered it. She thought about the gossip that would follow, the way every grant she'd ever won would suddenly be reread as favoritism, the years of work that would get quietly rewritten as luck. No, she said. We do it your way. But we need rules. Real ones. Rules. If we're going to survive this, we need boundaries. Clear ones written down in our heads if nowhere else. They spent the next hour at the kitchen table working it out like a merger negotiation. No walking to the car park together. No sitting next to each other in meetings. If he needed to speak to her about the program, it would be entirely professional, Director Choi, Dr. Kumalo, nothing else. What if there's an emergency? He asked. What if you're hurt, or something happens on a dive? Then I handle it like the trained scientist I am. I'm serious. So am I. Sung-ho, if you start hovering at work, people will notice in about 4 minutes. He knew she was right. He didn't have to like it. One more rule, she said. The most important one. Go on. If you need my honest opinion on something, the program, the numbers, anything, I give it to you straight. Always. The way we promised each other when we got married. He looked at her, faintly confused. Why would that be a problem? Because if people find out later that I was advising you privately, it'll look like I was steering the review in my own favor. She met his eyes. But I don't care. We promised to have each other's backs no matter what the situation looked like from the outside. That doesn't stop just because the situation got complicated. He reached across the table and took her hand. You are terrifyingly competent, you know that? I'm realistic. Same thing in your case. The next morning, Naledi arrived at the office early. coffee in hand, mentally rehearsing how to survive a day of pretending. Thandai found her refilling the kettle. So what did the mysterious auditor want yesterday? People have theories. Just questions about the restoration budget. He's meeting every project lead this week. Was he as scary in person as everyone says? Naledi thought about Sungho tucking her hair behind her ear the night before while they watched the harbor lights from the balcony. Not particularly. Lucky. Someone in Cape Town swears he made a program director cry. People exaggerate. Maybe. Thandai reached for a rusk. Did you hear there's an all-staff briefing today? He's presenting his findings so far. Everyone's terrified about the cuts. Naledi's phone buzzed. An email from Director Choi's office. All-staff briefing 10 a.m. Attendance required. Well, Thandai said, reading over her shoulder. Here we go. The briefing room was packed. Naledi found a seat near the back, trying hard to be invisible. Sungho walked in at exactly 10. Ms. Yuna stepped behind him. He moved to the front and connected his laptop to the projector without ceremony. Thank you all for making time, he began. I'll be direct because you all deserve better than being managed with soft language. This foundation is operating at a loss across 2 regions. Not a small one. If nothing changes in the next 6 months, some programs will not survive the year. The room went dead silent. However, he continued, I've spent the last 4 years restructuring struggling operations across 3 countries. I know what works and I know it isn't comfortable. Some programs will be cut. Some positions will not continue. But I am not here to dismantle what you've built out of spite. I'm here to find what's worth saving and protect it properly. He clicked to the next slide. Naledi recognized the layout instantly, clean, logical, no wasted words. She'd seen 100 versions of that exact formatting on his laptop at home. Over the next 2 weeks, I'll be reviewing every program in detail, meeting project leads individually, and asking questions some of you may not want to answer. That's the point. Nothing is protected by default, including programs with strong personal relationships to head office. A hand went up. Is it true you're bringing your own people in to replace local leadership? I'm bringing 2 analysts from Singapore. Both specialists. Thursday afternoon arrived far too quickly. Naledi showed up at the site office with her laptop and 3 months of raw data. Ms. Yoon let her in without a word, eyes assessing. Sungho was on a call, speaking rapid, clipped Korean to someone clearly unhappy on the other end. He gestured for her to sit. She looked around the borrowed office while he finished. It was aggressively tidy. No photos, no personal clutter. Nothing that suggested a life existed outside the numbers on the screen. Sorry, he said, hanging up. Head office. They're nervous about the timeline. It's fine. They got to work. The summary was for the full board and he needed it airtight. Naledi quickly understood he hadn't been exaggerating about the trust's finances. The shortfall was real, and it was bad. This section, she said, pointing at his screen. You're being too blunt. Boards don't want to read that a flagship program might collapse. I'm not going to lie to them. I'm not saying lie. I'm saying reframe. Instead of coral survival rates below projected target, say early data indicates a need to recalibrate restoration methodology for long-term resilience. He looked at her. That's the same sentence. Exactly. But one sounds like failure and one sounds like science doing its job. He almost smiled. You're good at this. I know. They worked for 2 hours and somewhere in the middle of it, Naledi forgot to be nervous. This part had always been easy between them. The collaboration, the shorthand, the way they sharpened each other's thinking without needing to explain themselves. How did you get this fluent in corporate language? He asked, watching her retype a paragraph. Practice. Also, I'm extremely intelligent. Humble too. That's my best quality. This time he did smile, small but real. The door opened without warning. They both startled. A tall man in an expensive linen suit stepped in, stopping when he noticed Naledi. Sorry. Didn't realize you had someone in here. Dr. Nkosi. Sungho stood. This is Dr. Kumalo, project lead on restoration. She's helping with the board summary. Dr. Given Nkosi's eyes lingered on Naledi a beat longer than necessary. The restoration lead. I've read your data. Genuinely impressive work. Dr. Kumalo is very capable. I don't doubt it. Given smiled, warm and unhurried. We haven't properly met. I run the Reef Monitoring Consortium 2 floors down. I've been meaning to talk to your team about a joint proposal. Naledi stood and shook his hand. I'd be interested to hear more. I can come back, Given offered, glancing at Sungho. Give us 15 minutes. When Given left, Naledi sat back down. He seems nice. Sungho's expression gave nothing away. He's competent. They finished the summary, and Naledi gathered her things. Thank you for this, he said, formal again. The board will appreciate the clarity. Happy to help, Director Choi. She left, passing Ms. Yoon's desk. The assistant watched her go with narrowed, calculating eyes. That night at home, Sungho was quiet through dinner. What's wrong? Naledi asked. Nothing. You are an appalling liar. He put down his chopsticks. Dr. Nkosi was looking at you. So I didn't enjoy it. Naledi laughed. Are you jealous? No. You're extremely jealous. I'm observant. He was interested in you specifically. Maybe he was just being professional. Men are rarely just being professional. She reached across the table and poked his hand. You know you're the only one I'm interested in, right? I know. Then stop sulking. I'm not sulking. You are absolutely sulking. He caught her hand and held it. I just don't enjoy watching other men admire you while I'm required to pretend you're nothing to me. Her chest ached. I know. But it's temporary. Remember. I remember. And hey, at least we still get to come home to each other. True. They cleaned up together, and the ordinariness of it steadied her nerves. This was their real life. Work was just the place they had to perform something else. The following week things got complicated in a new way. Naledi was mid-meeting about a joint grant proposal when Given knocked and stepped in. Sorry to interrupt, he said to the room. Dr. Kumalo, could I borrow you for a moment? Everyone looked at her. Of course. They stepped into the corridor. I wanted to formally ask if you'd co-lead the consortium proposal with me, Given said. The reef data your team has collected is exactly what the funder wants to see. I think this could be a career-defining project for both of us. It was a genuinely excellent opportunity, the kind that could change the trajectory of her whole career. I'd be interested, Naledi said carefully. What's the timeline? 8 weeks. We'd need to meet regularly to align the methodology. Have your team send over the details. Given smiled, easy and genuine. Excellent. Looking forward to working closely with you. Back at her desk, Thandai was practically buzzing. Given Nkosi asked you to co-lead his consortium proposal? Do you understand how many people would trade a kidney for that? It's just a project. It is never just a project when it's him. He's one of the most respected marine scientists on this coastline. Thandai leaned in. Also, strictly professional gossip, he's single. Very single. Good for him. I'm just saying, if a man who looked like that wanted to collaborate closely with me, I would not be complaining. Naledi laughed it off, but something nagged at her all the way home. That evening, she mentioned the proposal to Sungho casually, the way you mention something you already know won't land casually at all. His reaction was immediate. You said yes. It's an incredible opportunity. I know it's a good opportunity. That's not the issue. Then what is the issue? Sung-ho paced their small living room. The issue is that given Kosi doesn't ask junior scientists to co-lead flagship proposals unless he has a reason. Maybe the reason is that I'm good at my job. I'm sure you are. He's also clearly interested in you. You don't know that. I'm a man. I know exactly that. Naledi stood. Sung-ho, I can't turn down opportunities because you're feeling territorial. I'm not territorial. You keep saying that. Your face keeps disagreeing. They stared each other down, frustration and something else crackling between them. I trust you, he said finally. Completely. I don't trust him. Then trust that I know how to handle myself. He pulled her close and she let herself lean into him. I hate this, he said quietly. Watching people look at you and not being allowed to say a single word. I know, but we're doing this for a reason. Remember. I remember. The consortium project began the following week. Naledi had to admit, Given was sharp, thorough, always 3 steps ahead of the funders' questions. They met twice that week, professional but easy. On Friday, he suggested coffee to plan the next phase. Just coffee, he said. My treat. For dragging you into extra work. It felt petty to refuse without a real reason. They went to the cafe below the office, crowded with staff on their lunch break. So, Given said, stirring his coffee, how are you finding Director Choi's leadership style? I hear he's intense. He's fair. Very clear about what he expects. Diplomatic answer. Given smiled. Between us, he's brilliant but not easy. I worked adjacent to his team once, on a shipping sector sustainability panel in Singapore. Best restructuring mind I've encountered. Also the most private person I've ever met. Naledi's attention sharpened despite herself. You've worked with him before? Briefly. Advisory capacity. Given studied her. You're fairly private yourself, you know? I asked around, nobody knows much about your life outside this building. No mention partner, barely any social media. You skip every staff dinner. Naledi kept her expression neutral. I like my privacy. Nothing wrong with that. Though it does make you a little bit of a mystery. She laughed lightly. Trust me, I'm not that interesting. I doubt that. Before she could respond, a shadow fell across their table. Sung-ho stood there, face carefully blank. Dr. Nkosi. Dr. Kumalo. They both stood automatically. Director Choi, Given said smoothly. We were finalizing the consortium timeline. Good. That proposal is a priority. His eyes flicked to Naledi for exactly 1 second. Dr. Kumalo, I need the revised budget notes before end of day. Yes, Director. I'll have them ready. He walked off without another word. Given sat back down, shaking his head. See what I mean? Intense. Naledi's pulse was racing, but she managed to smile. He's the one balancing the entire regional budget right now. Intensity comes with the territory. They finished their coffee and returned to work. That night, Sung-ho got home late. Naledi was already curled up on the couch, book open but unread. He sat beside her. I'm sorry about earlier. For what? For interrupting your coffee. I walked past the window and saw the two of you and he paused. I reacted. You were jealous. Extremely. At least he was being honest now. Sung-ho, nothing is happening with Given. We're colleagues working on a proposal. That's the entire story. I know. Logically, I know that completely. But watching him lean in and smile at you while I have to pretend I barely know your name? It's genuinely difficult. Naledi set her book down and pulled him closer. 2 more months. That's what you said. 2 more months and we tell everyone the truth. 2 months feels like a very long time. Then we'll be patient. He kissed her forehead. I don't deserve you. Probably not. You're stuck with me regardless. The weeks that followed settled into an exhausting rhythm. At work, Naledi was the diligent scientist somehow landing every high-visibility project in the building. At home, she was Sung-ho's wife, the one person he actually relaxed around. The split wore on her. Thandao noticed. You look tired. Are you sleeping? Just busy. Too busy. You're running 3 major projects at once. It's allowed to say no sometimes. But Naledi couldn't say no, not when Sung-ho asked. That had been their promise from the very beginning. One Thursday, he asked her to stay late finalizing the investor deck for a potential new funder. They worked until 9, alone in the site office. This section needs to be stronger, he said, pointing at the screen. Naledi rubbed her eyes. I've rewritten it 4 times. I'm not sure what else you're picturing. I want it airtight. Airtight doesn't exist in conservation funding. Close to airtight then. She turned to look at him. Are you this demanding with everyone or just with me? Everyone. Especially you. Why especially me? Because you're capable of far more than you currently believe. Naledi blinked. She hadn't expected that. People already think you're too hard on me, she said quietly. I know. Ms. Yoons mentioned the gossip. And I don't care. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to make sure this program survives. He held her gaze. But I also push you because I believe in what you're building. Is that all right? I suppose it has to be. They finished at 10. The building was nearly empty. In the lift, Naledi swayed slightly on her feet. Sung-ho caught her elbow. Careful. I'm fine. Just tired. The doors opened onto the underground car park. No one else in sight. Thank you for staying, he said. Anytime. They walked to their cars parked on opposite sides of the level as always. See you at home, Naledi called. Drive safely. It was ridiculous pretending even here when no one was watching. But the habit had become so ingrained it felt safer than risking a single slip. At home half an hour later, they collapsed onto the couch together. I'm exhausted by this, Naledi admitted. Same. How much longer, honestly? 6 weeks. Maybe 5 if the board approves the recommendations quickly. And then we tell everyone, and deal with whatever comes after. Naledi closed her eyes. 5 more weeks of pretending. She could manage that. She had to. The next morning she woke to find Sung-ho already gone. A note on the counter. Early board call. Don't forget your consortium presentation today. You'll be brilliant. She smiled despite the exhaustion. The presentation was to the entire Marine Science Division, her biggest audience yet. She'd spent 2 weeks preparing, and her hands trembled slightly as she loaded her slides. Given arrived early, taking a seat in the front row. Nervous. A little. Don't be. I've seen the data. You're about to blow this room away. The room filled quickly. Naledi spotted Sung-ho slipping in through the back. Arms crossed, expression unreadable. She took a breath and began. 25 minutes later, she finished to genuine sustained applause. The questions came fast, and she answered everyone with steady confidence. Outstanding work, Dr. Kumalo, the division head said. This is exactly the direction we need to be moving in. People filed out, several stopping to congratulate her. Given lingered. That was seriously impressive. He smiled. We should celebrate. A few of us are doing dinner tomorrow night. You should come. Naledi hesitated. She never attended staff dinners. I don't know, I usually. Come on, you can't disappear forever. The team would love to get to know you properly. Who's going? Me, a few people from the consortium, a couple of program managers. Low-key, I promise. It felt increasingly petty to keep declining. People were already murmuring about how standoffish she was. Okay. Sure. Excellent. I'll send you the details. After he left, Naledi packed up her laptop. The room was empty except for one other person. Sung-ho walked down the aisle toward her. That was good, he said quietly. Just good. Very good. The section on kelp regeneration modeling was particularly strong. Thank you. They stood 3 feet apart, close enough to touch, not touching. I heard Given invite you to dinner, Sung-ho said. You were listening in? I was standing right there. That's not the same as listening in. Naledi zipped her laptop bag. It's just a team dinner. Networking. I know. You could tell me not to go. His jaw tightened. I'm not going to do that. You should go. It's good for your standing here. But you don't want me to. What I want is irrelevant. You need relationships in this field. And I can't be the possessive husband who stops you from building them. He glanced toward the door. We should leave separately. Yeah. He left first. She waited 5 minutes before following. That night, Sung-ho was quiet again. Talk to me, Naledi said. I'm fine. You've reorganized the bookshelf twice tonight, and we both know you hate organizing anything. He stopped, book in hand. I don't like him. Given. He's too interested in you. Or he's just being collegial. Men are rarely just collegial with women they clearly admire. Naledi crossed the room and took the book from his hands. Listen to me. I love you. Only you. Given Kosi could be the most charming man on this continent, and it still wouldn't matter. I know that. Then trust it. He pulled her close. I do trust it. I just wish I could walk into that dinner, sit next to you, and make it obvious to everyone in the room that you're taken. For more weeks. For more weeks, he repeated. The team dinner was at a seafood restaurant on the Umlenga Promenade. Naledi arrived to find 8 people already seated, Given among them. You made it. He stood, pulling out the chair beside his. Sit here. The evening turned out genuinely fun. People traded stories about disastrous field trips and funding committee horror stories. Naledi found herself laughing more than she had in weeks. So, Dr. Kumalo, one of the program managers said, you've been here 2 years and we know almost nothing about you. What's your story? Not much to tell. Grew up in KZN, studied marine biology, ended up here. Boyfriend? Husband? Naledi's stomach flipped. That's personal territory. Oh come on, we're all friends here. Given cut in smoothly. Leave her alone. Not everyone wants their whole life story dissected over calamari. Thank you, Naledi said quietly. He smiled at her and she smiled back, grateful. Across the restaurant, unnoticed by their table, Sung-ho sat in a corner booth with 2 board members. He'd scheduled this dinner weeks earlier, a complete coincidence that it landed on the same night at the same restaurant. Or maybe not entirely a coincidence. Maybe he'd asked Ms. Yoon where Given had made his reservation. Maybe he'd needed to see for himself that nothing was happening. He watched Given lean in to show Naledi something on his phone. Watched her laugh. Director Choi? Your view on the timeline. He dragged his attention back to his own table. Apologies. The timeline. Yes, I think we proceed, but renegotiate the terms with the funder. He forced himself not to look toward her table for the rest of the meal. When Naledi got home that night, Sung-ho was on the balcony, staring at the river. How was dinner? He asked. Good. Genuinely fun, actually. She joined him. How was your evening? Fine. Board dinner ran long. Something felt off, but she couldn't quite place it. Given was kind tonight. He shut down some intrusive questions about my personal life before I had to. Sung-ho's expression flickered. That was decent of him. Are you being sarcastic? No. You sound sarcastic. I'm not. She studied his face. Were you at that restaurant tonight? His silence answered for him. Sung-ho, you followed me. I did not follow you. I had a legitimate board dinner. At the same restaurant on the same night? It's a popular restaurant. That is genuinely ridiculous. He turned to face her fully. Fine. Yes. I found out where you were going, and yes, I scheduled my dinner nearby. Is that what you needed to hear? Why would you even do that? Because I needed to see with my own eyes that you were all right. I'm a grown woman with a doctorate. I can survive a team dinner. I know that. He dragged both hands through his hair. I know you can handle yourself completely, but watching another man make you laugh, while I'm required to pretend I barely know you exist, it's harder than I ever expected it to be. Her anger deflated slightly. You saw us. I saw him show you something on his phone. I saw you smile at it. It was a video of a seal stealing someone's sandwich. That's the entire story. I know. Logically, I know nothing is happening. But logic is useless when I'm sitting 30 feet away wishing I was the one making you laugh. She stepped closer and took his hand. You make me laugh constantly. Right now, for instance, you're being completely ridiculous, and it's a little bit funny. Glad my jealousy entertains you. It doesn't entertain me. It tells me you care. Of course I care. You're my wife. Then remember that. I am your wife. Not his colleague, not anyone's mystery woman. Yours. He kissed her then, and Naledi kissed him back, trying to pour 3 years of trust and partnership into it. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. 4 more weeks and I'm telling everyone. I don't care if the review is finished or not. 3 weeks now technically. Even better. The following week, Ms. Yoon summoned Naledi to the site office. Sung-ho was on his laptop frowning. Close the door. She did. I need you on a site visit. Her pulse jumped. Where? Sadwana Bay. 2 days, meetings with the coastal partners and the diving operators tied to the restoration sites. I need someone who understands the science and the community relationships. And you're the strongest person we have for both. When? This weekend. This weekend? That's 3 days away. I know it's short notice. If you genuinely can't make it, I can make it. He looked up properly then, something warm flickering across his face. You're certain? You asked. I don't say no to you. Remember, Ms. Yoon will book your travel. We fly separately Saturday morning. Site visits Saturday afternoon and Sunday. Back Sunday evening. Separate flights? Separate everything. At least until we land. That Saturday, Naledi took the earlier flight and checked into the lodge an hour before Sung-ho arrived. They'd booked rooms on different floors. Her phone buzzed. Room 214. Come up once you're settled. She waited 20 minutes, then took the stairs to the second floor. Sung-ho opened the door looking more relaxed than she'd seen him in weeks. No tie, sleeves rolled, bare feet on the cool tile. Hey! Hey yourself! He pulled her inside and kissed her properly. I missed you. We lived together. Not the same. At home I still have to be careful. Here for 1 weekend I don't. He kissed her again. Naledi laughed. We have community meetings in 3 hours. I know. Let me have this moment first. They ordered room service and went over the site briefing notes together. And for an hour it felt like the version of their marriage that existed before all of this, simple, unguarded, theirs. The Dive Operators Association is going to push back on the new no-take zones, Sung-ho said. They see it as a threat to their livelihood. So we bring 3 options instead of 1 non-negotiable boundary. Flexibility earns trust. Good. What else? They worked until it was time to leave for the meetings. The community sessions went well. Naledi sat in on everyone, taking notes and stepping in whenever the science needed translating into something the room could actually use. Dr. Kumalo explains this better than anyone from head office ever has, one of the local operators said. You're lucky to have her on this project. I am, Sung-ho agreed, his voice carefully even. That evening, after the last meeting wrapped, he suggested dinner. There's a small place near the estuary. Best grilled kingklip on this coast, apparently. They went together unworried about being seen. No one from the Durban office was anywhere near Sodwana Bay. The restaurant was tiny, warm, full of locals. They took a table tucked near the back. This is nice, Naledi said. Feels normal. It is normal. This is how it should be, all the time. They ordered too much food and talked about everything except work. She told him about a novel she'd started. He told her about a documentary he'd half-watched on a flight. It felt for 2 hours like an ordinary Saturday between two ordinary people. We should take a real trip, Sung-ho said. Once everyone knows. Somewhere with no laptops for a week. That sounds like exactly what we need. They were finishing their food when Naledi's stomach dropped. Don't look now, she said quietly. But someone from the Durban office just walked in. Sung-ho stiffened. Who? Zanil from finance. I think that's her husband with her. Did she see us? I don't know. The waiter arrived with the bill. Sung-ho paid quickly while Naledi tried to angle herself behind the menu. What do we do? She whispered. We act completely normal. If she saw us, we were discussing tomorrow's community sessions. Nothing more. They stood to leave just as Zanil spotted them. Director Choi. Dr. Kumalo. What are you two doing all the way out here? Site visit, Sung-ho said smoothly. And you? Anniversary trip. This is my husband, Saifo. They made polite small talk that stretched 2 minutes but felt like 20. Well, enjoy your dinner, Sung-ho finally said. Early start tomorrow for us. Outside, Naledi exhaled hard. That was close. Too close. They walked back to the lodge in silence, careful to keep a professional distance between them. In the lobby, Sung-ho said loudly, I'll see you at the 8 o'clock briefing, Dr. Kumalo. Get some rest. You too, Director Choi. They took separate lifts. If you're still with me at this point, we are just getting to the part I've genuinely been waiting to tell you. Drop a comment with what you think Naledi does next. I promise it gets messier before it gets better. 20 minutes later, there was a soft knock on Naledi's door. Sung-ho slipped in quickly. I can't keep doing this. Doing what? Pretending you're nothing to me. Walking away in lobbies. Sleeping on a different floor when we're in the same building. He paced the small room. We almost got caught tonight and the first thing I thought was good. Let them find out. I'm exhausted from hiding. Naledi sat on the edge of the bed. 3 more weeks. I don't want to wait 3 more weeks. Sung-ho. I know. The review, the optics, all of it. But Naledi, watching you walk away from me over and over. It's wearing me down in a way I didn't expect. She stood and caught both his hands. Then don't watch. Look at me right now. We're here together alone. No colleagues, no cameras. Just us. He pulled her close, and they stood like that for a long, quiet moment. I'm sorry, he said into her hair. I know this is hard on you too. It is. But we're almost there. We can manage 3 more weeks. Can we? We have to. The next day's briefings ran long, and by the time they'd caught their separate flights home, both were running on fumes. Monday came far too fast. Naledi walked into the office to find people whispering. Thandai rushed over. Did you go to Sodwana this weekend? Site visit. Why? Zanil's telling everyone she saw you having dinner with Director Choi. Like a real dinner. Candles and everything. Naledi's blood ran cold. It was a work dinner. That's what I told her, but you know how people talk. Great. Just great. By lunchtime, the rumors had spread through the whole floor. People kept giving her strange, evaluating looks. Given stopped by her desk. "Hey, can we talk?" They found an empty meeting room. "I'm going to ask you something and you can absolutely tell me it's none of my business," Given said. "Is there something going on between you and Director Choi?" "What? No. Why would you think that? People are talking about Sadwana." "It was a business dinner. I was there for the community relations side of the site visit." Given studied her face carefully. "Okay, I believe you. But Naledi, be careful. Even the appearance of favoritism can damage a reputation you've spent years building. There's no favoritism. If anything, he holds me to a higher standard than anyone else." "I know. I've seen it. But perception is its own kind of currency in this industry." After he left, Naledi wanted to scream into a filing cabinet. That evening she told Sung-ho everything. "I'll put out a statement," he said immediately. "Clarify the trip was purely professional. That'll make it worse. Just let it fade. I'm not going to sit by while people question your integrity. Sung-ho, if you defend me too loudly, it proves their point. This has to die down on its own." He hated it, but he knew she was right. The next week was brutal. People whispered whenever Naledi walked past. Someone left an anonymous printout on her desk. A screenshot of a message board thread speculating about how she'd found a shortcut to the top. She threw it in the bin and said nothing. But it hurt. Sung-ho noticed her pulling inward. At work she stayed flawless, professional, untouchable. At home she went quiet. "Talk to me," he said one night. "There's nothing to say. You've barely spoken 10 words since you got home." Naledi set down her book. "What do you want me to say? That work is miserable right now? That people think I slept my way into every project I've earned? That I'm exhausted from pretending? I want you to tell me how to fix this." "You can't fix it. Not without telling everyone the truth, and we agreed to wait. So we're just stuck?" "Apparently." He sat beside her. "I'm sorry. This is my fault." "It isn't your fault. I asked you to keep this secret. I put you in this position." Her anger cracked slightly. "I agreed to it. We both did. I just didn't expect it to be this hard." "Neither did I." They sat in heavy silence. "Maybe we tell them now," he said quietly. "Forget the timeline." "No." "Why not?" "Because you were right the first time. If we tell them now, mid-review, every decision you make gets picked apart. Every project I benefit from will look suspicious." She took his hand. "We've made it this far. 2 more weeks. We can survive 2 more weeks." "You're sure?" "No. But we don't have much of a choice." The following Monday, Naledi was called into a meeting with the full leadership team. Her hands shook as she gathered her materials. The meeting was about a major new funding partnership. Someone had recommended her specifically to present the science. She spoke for 35 minutes, fielding questions from board members who had barely acknowledged her before that morning. "This is exceptional work," the finance director said. "Fresh, rigorous, exactly the kind of narrative funders respond to." "Thank you. How long have you been with the trust?" "Just over 2 years. And already doing leadership-level presentations." "Impressive." After the meeting, Ms. Yoon approached her. "Director Choi would like to see you." Naledi's stomach tightened, but she followed. Sung-ho's office was empty except for him. He stood at the window, looking out over the harbor. "Close the door." She did. "That presentation was outstanding." "Thank you." He turned to face her. "I'm recommending you for a formal promotion. Lead scientist and program director." Naledi's eyes widened. "What? You've earned it. The work speaks for itself." "Sung-ho, people already think you're giving me special treatment. A promotion right now makes everything worse." "I don't care. You deserve this role, And I refuse to hold you back because people are small-minded. I care. I care a great deal, actually. They stared at each other across the desk. So what are you asking? He said. That I pass you over for a role you've clearly earned? I'm asking you to wait 2 more weeks, then announce the marriage and the promotion together. Make it unmistakable that the promotion was earned, not gifted. That isn't fair to you. A lot of things aren't fair right now. But this way my credibility stays intact. He looked like he wanted to argue but nodded slowly. Okay. 2 weeks. But Naledi, I'm done after that. 2 weeks from today everyone knows, and I don't care who has a problem with it. Deal. She turned to leave. Naledi. Yeah. I'm proud of you. I can't say it at work, but I need you to hear it. I'm genuinely proud of what you're building. Her throat tightened. Thank you. That night they ordered takeaway and watched a terrible action film, curled together on the couch. 2 weeks, Sung-ho said, during a particularly absurd explosion scene. 2 weeks, Naledi agreed. We can do this. We can absolutely do this. And then I'm taking you to the nicest restaurant in this city, and holding your hand the entire meal. Sounds perfect. And I'm telling every single person at that office that you're my wife, and I'm the luckiest man in the country. Naledi smiled. Don't get carried away. Too late. Extremely carried away. They fell asleep on the couch, the film still playing. For the first time in weeks, Naledi felt something close to hope. 2 more weeks. They could survive anything for 2 more weeks. The next morning, Ms. Yoon called an emergency meeting. The board had decided to move the annual Ocean Gala forward. It was happening in 5 days. Naledi sat at her desk, staring at the invitation that had just landed in every inbox. Ocean Horizon Trust Annual Gala. Black tie. Donors, press, and family members welcome. Fandio appeared at her desk. This is enormous. The gala is usually the event of the year for coastal conservation funding. Everyone goes all out. Who do people usually bring? Partners, dates, spouses. Very formal, very public. Fandio grinned. I'm bringing my fiancé. He's going to complain the whole time and I don't care. What about you? I'll probably go alone. Really? You could ask someone. I'm fine alone. She wasn't fine. Because everyone would be watching Director Choi, speculating about who he might bring, dissecting his carefully private life. And Naledi would be standing there alone, watching her own husband pretend she didn't exist. That night Sung-ho was furious. They moved it without consulting me. Can you push it back? The board already sent invitations to major donors. It's locked in. He paced the flat. This ruins the plan. I wanted to announce us after the review concluded. Now the gala happens first with press in the room. So we go separately. Like we planned. I hate that plan. I'm not thrilled either, but what other option is there? Sung-ho stopped pacing. We could not attend. The director skipping the trust's own gala? That's worse. Then we go together. Announce everything tonight at the event. Naledi considered it seriously. No, she said finally. If we're doing this, we do it properly. At the gala in front of everyone. An announcement, not gossip fuel. So we suffer through the entire evening first? Apparently. He pulled her close. I don't know how I'm supposed to stand across a ballroom from you all night. The same way we've managed it for weeks. Very carefully. I'm tired of careful. Me too. But it's 5 more days. Then everyone knows and we never have to hide again. 5 days, he repeated. We've survived worse. Have we though? Naledi laughed despite everything. Probably not. But we'll survive this too. The days before the gala passed in a blur. Naledi buried herself in work, avoiding any real thought about Saturday night. Given stopped by her desk on Wednesday. So who's your date for the gala? Going alone. He looked genuinely surprised. Really? I assumed someone would have asked by now. I prefer going solo. Well, if you change your mind, my date canceled. We could go as colleagues. Naledi's mind raced. Showing up on Given's arm would send exactly the wrong message. That's kind, but I'm good. Truly. He smiled, though something flickered behind it. Suit yourself. Save me a dance at least. Sure. After he left, Thandao let out a low whistle. Given Kosi just asked you to the gala and you said no? Are you feeling all right? Perfectly fine. He's one of the most eligible men on this coastline. Then someone else can have him. That evening, Naledi told Sung-ho about the invitation. His reaction was instant. He asked you to be his date? As colleagues? I said no. Good. You're not going to spiral? I'm spiraling internally. Externally, I'm being extremely calm and mature. He paused. Actually, I'm not calm at all. The thought of you walking in on his arm makes me want to throw something. Naledi couldn't help laughing. You're ridiculous. I'm aware. It's a little bit endearing, actually. My jealousy is endearing? A little bit. He pulled her onto his lap. 3 more days and I never have to be jealous again. 3 more days and everyone finally knows you're mine. I've always been yours. I know. But soon everyone else will know it too. Friday afternoon, Naledi left work early to find something to wear. She'd been putting it off, dreading the entire event. The boutique was overwhelming, too many options, everything either too much or not nearly enough. Can I help you find something? A sales assistant asked. A corporate gala. Black tie. Special occasion? You could say that. She tried on 6 dresses before finding the one. A deep bronze gold gown, warm against her light brown skin, elegant without shouting for attention. Something that would let her disappear into the room and still feel entirely like herself. Beautiful, the assistant said. Will your date be matching? I'm going alone. Oh, well, you'll turn heads regardless. Naledi bought the dress and went home. Sung-ho was already there, his own suit hanging in the closet. Let me see, he said when she walked in with the garment bag. No, you'll see it tomorrow. That's deeply unfair. Life is deeply unfair. He caught her hand as she passed. Hey, you've been quiet. Are you okay? Naledi sat beside him. Honestly, I'm terrified. About tomorrow? About all of it. Tomorrow night everyone's watching you, donors, board members, press hoping for a story. And I'll be standing somewhere in the back, invisible, watching all of it happen. You are never invisible to me. I know. But what if something goes wrong? What if we're exposed before you're ready? Or the announcement lands badly? He turned to face her fully. Then we handle it together. But nothing is going to go wrong. Tomorrow night, I'm going to stand in front of every person we work with and tell them the truth. That I've been married for 3 years to the most extraordinary woman I've ever known. That she's been carrying half of every decision I've made without anyone knowing her name. That every good outcome this program has had, she's been part of. Naledi's eyes stung. You've been rehearsing this speech, haven't you? Maybe a little. What if people react badly? Some will. But the ones who matter, the ones who respect actual work, they'll understand. He squeezed her hand. And honestly, I've stopped caring what anyone else thinks. I'm done hiding the best part of my life. She leaned her head against his shoulder. One more day. One more day. Saturday arrived with clear skies over the bay, the kind of morning that felt like a small omen. Naledi spent the morning trying to steady herself. A long bath, unfinished nails, a book she couldn't focus on. Sung-ho was quiet too, reviewing notes for his speech. Nervous? She asked. Terrified. Really? I've presented to hostile investors in 3 languages and never felt like this. Tonight matters more. They got ready in separate rooms, keeping to their rules even now. When Naledi finally slipped into the bronze gold gown and looked in the mirror, she barely recognized the woman looking back. Composed, radiant, entirely herself. She walked out to find Sung-ho in the living room straightening his tie. He turned and froze. Wow. Too much. Not nearly enough. You look extraordinary. He crossed to her. I have to watch you all night looking like that, and not be allowed to tell anyone you're my wife. This is torture. Just a few more hours. A few more hours, he repeated. They took separate cars to the venue. Sung-ho left first. Naledi waited 20 minutes before following. The ballroom at the waterfront hotel was already full when she arrived. Chandeliers, white linen, servers weaving through with trays of champagne, everyone dressed to be photographed. Naledi found her assigned table near the back. A few colleagues from the science team were already seated. Dr. Kumalo, you look incredible, one of them said. Thank you. Thandai arrived with her fiancé. This is insane. Look at this place. Oh, there's Director Choi. Every head turned. Sung-ho stood near the entrance, surrounded by board members and major donors, immaculate in his tuxedo, entirely in command of the room. Their eyes met across the crowd for exactly 1 second before Naledi looked away. He's so handsome, someone at her table sighed. I wonder if he'll bring anyone tonight. Apparently he's here alone, Thandai said. Ms. Yoon told HR he didn't register a +1. Maybe he's meeting someone here. Naledi sipped her water and said nothing. The evening crawled forward. Dinner was served, speeches were made. Naledi smiled, chatted, pretended everything was ordinary while her stomach twisted in tight, anxious knots. Given stopped by her table. You look beautiful tonight. Thank you. Want some air? It's stuffy in here. Before she could answer, someone called his name. He smiled apologetically and moved off. Naledi watched Sung-ho across the room. He was speaking with an older couple, nodding politely at something they were saying. Then a young woman approached, clearly wealthy, clearly interested. Her parents introducing her with obvious intent. She smiled at Sung-ho with unmistakable interest. Naledi's chest tightened. Another woman joined. Then another. She watched him deflect each of them gracefully, keeping everything strictly professional. Still hurt. Excuse me, Naledi murmured to her table. I need some air. She made it into the hallway outside the ballroom before the emotion caught up with her. She was not going to cry, absolutely not, but she needed a minute. Naledi. She turned to find Given standing there. Are you all right? You left rather quickly. I'm fine. Just needed a break from the noise. He studied her face. You don't look fine. I promise I'm good. Is this about Director Choi? Her heart stopped. What? I've been watching you watch him all night. And I've been watching him work very hard not to watch you back. Given's expression was kind, not accusatory. I don't know what's going on between the two of you, but I know what real feelings look like when I see them. Naledi didn't know what to say. It's all right, Given continued. Whatever it is, it's not my business to broadcast. But for what it's worth, if he can't see what's standing right in front of him, he's not as brilliant as everyone thinks. It's not like that, isn't it? He smiled gently. Go back inside. Don't let anyone else's assumptions make you hide. He walked back toward the ballroom, leaving her alone in the hallway. She took a deep breath and followed. The room had shifted, people mingling now, dancing, networking. Naledi found a quiet corner and tried to disappear into it. Dr. Kumalo, there you are. Ms. Yoon appeared beside her. Director Choi is about to make an announcement. He'd like everyone in the main hall. Naledi's pulse spiked. An announcement? Apparently. Come along. Guests gathered as Ms. Yoon herded everyone back toward their seats. The room buzzed with speculation. Sung-ho stepped onto the small stage. Someone handed him a microphone. The room fell silent. Thank you all for being here tonight, he began. This organization has been through significant change over the past few months. Change that was necessary but not comfortable. Naledi's hands tightened around her napkin under the table. I've asked a great deal from every person in this room. Long hours, difficult decisions, trust in a process that must have felt uncertain from the outside. And every one of you delivered beyond what I had any right to expect. Polite applause. But there's something I need to address. Something personal that has quietly shaped how some of you have come to see me these past months. The room seemed to hold its breath. Sung-ho's eyes found Naledi in the crowd. For months there have been rumors, speculation about favoritism, about inappropriate closeness, about my judgment being compromised by personal loyalty. Oh God, he was actually doing this. I want to set the record straight, because the person those rumors have hurt the most deserves far better than my silence. He stepped down from the stage. The crowd parted as he walked through it, straight toward Naledi. She couldn't breathe. He stopped in front of her table and extended his hand. Dr. Kumalo, would you join me, please? Every eye in the room turned toward her. Naledi's mind screamed at her to move, to do anything. Her hand reached out on its own and closed around his. Sung-ho helped her stand, his grip warm and unshaking. He led her through the hushed crowd back to the front of the room. 3 years ago, Sung-ho said into the microphone, still holding Naledi's hand, I made the best decision of my entire life. I married this woman. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. Naledi's heart pounded so hard she was certain the whole room could hear it. We kept it private for reasons that made sense at the time. I was overseas, she was building this program from nothing. We agreed to wait for the right moment to tell people. He turned to look at her, his expression softening. Then I was sent to oversee this exact program, and the timing became impossibly complicated. I asked her to keep our marriage quiet a little longer, to protect this review from any appearance of bias. She agreed, even though it meant enduring rumors, suspicion, and watching me treat her like a stranger in the halls of her own workplace. Naledi's eyes burned. Many of you have watched the decisions I've made these past months and formed your own opinions about them. What you didn't see was the person behind almost every one of the good ones, who stayed up rewriting board summaries at midnight, who told me the honest truth when everyone else simply agreed with me, who worked twice as hard as anyone else in this building to prove she'd earned every inch of her place here. He squeezed her hand. The rumors about favoritism have it backwards. If anything, I've held Dr. Kumalo to a higher standard than anyone else on this program, because I knew exactly what she was capable of, because I believed in her work even when it looked from the outside like I was being unreasonably hard on her. Someone in the crowd began clapping. Then another person. Then the entire room erupted. Sung-ho waited for it to settle. I'm telling you this tonight because I'm done hiding the most important person in my life. Because she deserves to be recognized not as the director's wife, but as the exceptional scientist she genuinely is. And because moving forward, I intend to lead this organization with complete transparency. He turned to face Naledi fully. I'm sorry it took me this long to do this publicly. I'm sorry for every moment you had to pretend we were strangers. But I am not sorry I married you. And I am not sorry that everyone finally knows. Naledi's vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. So, Sung-ho addressed the room again. Allow me to properly introduce Dr. Naledi Kumalo Choi, my wife of 3 years. The person who makes every part of my work better. And someone this organization is remarkably fortunate to have. The applause was thunderous. People stood, clapping and cheering. Some looked stunned, others delighted. several visibly recalculating every interaction they'd witnessed over the past 2 months. Naledi saw Given in the crowd, clapping with genuine unguarded warmth. She saw Thandai with both hands over her mouth, eyes enormous. She saw Ms. Yu nodding with something that might, astonishingly, have been approval. Before anyone asks, Sung-ho continued, my wife is being formally promoted to lead scientist and program director, a position she earned entirely on merit, reviewed and approved by the board independent of my involvement. Her results are public record. Everything is documented. Everything is earned. He looked at Naledi. Anything you'd like to add? She took the microphone with shaking hands. Just that I intend to keep doing my job exactly as I have been. The only thing that's changed is that now you all know the truth. I still expect to be judged on my work, not my marriage. And I still expect Director Choi to be professional, and probably far too demanding during board reviews. Laughter moved through the crowd. But yes, she added quietly, looking at Sung-ho, I am genuinely happy that you all finally know. The applause started again. Sung-ho took the microphone back. Now that we've handled that particular announcement, please enjoy the rest of your evening. The bar remains open, the music is starting, and I promise, no further surprises tonight. Conversation erupted across the room as the music began. Sung-ho led Naledi off the stage, his hand never leaving hers. They were immediately surrounded by well-wishers, board members offering congratulations, colleagues expressing shock and delight, everyone wanting the full story at once. Given approached with a knowing smile. Congratulations. I had a feeling something was going on. Thank you, Naledi said. And thank you for earlier. For being kind when I needed it. He nodded and moved on. Thandai practically tackled Naledi with a hug. You've been married this entire time? This entire time and you never told me? I am wounded. Also desperate to know everything. I'll tell you everything, I promise. You'd better. The evening transformed after that. Naledi no longer had to measure her glances or watch her words. When Sung-ho asked her to dance, she said yes without a second's hesitation. They moved onto the floor together, and he pulled her close. How do you feel? He asked quietly. Relieved. Terrified. Happy. All of it at once. Any regrets? Not a single one. They swayed to the music, and for the first time in months, Naledi felt like she could finally breathe. People are staring, she murmured. Let them. I have nothing left to hide. This is going to be office gossip for months. Probably years. You realize this changes everything? Sung-ho pulled back to look at her. It doesn't change anything that actually matters. You're still the hardest working person I know. I'm still going to push you to be your best. The only real difference is that now I can hold your hand in the lift. And have lunch together. And leave work at the same time. And correct people when they're wrong about you. Especially that. The song ended, but they stayed on the floor for the next one too. Across the room, the board chairman watched them with an approving nod. Ms. Yoon actually smiled. And somewhere in the crowd someone murmured, they really do suit each other. Before this story wraps up, I need one thing from you. If you've made it this far, you're part of something I genuinely love building. Hit subscribe because I have more stories exactly like this one coming your way. Stories about love, patience, and choosing honesty when it's hardest. Now let's finish this properly. The following Monday, Naledi walked into the office bracing for chaos. Instead, she found something close to normal. People greeted her warmly. A few asked questions about the wedding, about how they'd met, but mostly everyone simply returned to work. Honestly, Thandai said over coffee, I think people are relieved. The mystery was driving everyone up the wall. Now we know and life carries on. That's it? No scandal, no drama. Oh, there's plenty of gossip. But it's good gossip. Everyone thinks it's romantic. Naledi laughed. Romantic. It is romantic. Secret marriage, huge reveal. The director declaring his love in front of 200 donors. That is a drama plot. My life is not a drama. Your life is absolutely a drama. That afternoon, Naledi had her first official meeting as lead scientist and program director. Sung-ho was there, along with 4 other members of leadership. Dr. Kumalo, one of them said, then corrected himself. Or do you prefer Dr. Choi? Either is fine. Though at work, Dr. Kumalo is probably less confusing. The meeting proceeded normally. Sung-ho critiqued her proposal just as rigorously as before, possibly more rigorously. Afterward, one of the board members pulled her aside. He's tough on you. Always has been. That's a good sign. It means he genuinely respects the work. I know. Over the following weeks, things settled into a new rhythm. Naledi and Sung-ho rode the lift together, had lunch together on ordinary days, left work at the same time when their schedules allowed. People adjusted quickly. The promotion was formalized, and Naledi threw herself fully into the new role. She worked late nights, traveled for partner meetings, proved again and again that she had earned the title. Given became a genuine friend. No awkwardness, no lingering feelings, just real professional respect. You two seem happy, he said one day in passing. We are. Good. You deserve it. 3 months after the gala, the Trust's annual impact report came in. The best restoration outcomes in the program's history. The review had worked. The cuts had been targeted, not indiscriminate, and the flagship program was not only surviving, it was thriving. Sung-ho called an all-staff meeting to share the results and thank the team. Afterward, he found Naledi at her desk. Got a minute? For you? Always. They went to his office and he closed the door. Remember when I said we should take a real trip? Vaguely. How does 2 weeks in the Eastern Cape sound? Your grandmother's village, properly this time. Not over a video call. Naledi's breath caught. Really? I want to meet your family the way I should have years ago. Learn the place that made you who you are. Sung-ho, that's. And then maybe we could have an actual wedding celebration. Something with your family, your traditions. Something that belongs entirely to us, not to any boardroom. Tears filled her eyes. You've been planning this. For months. Since before the gala, honestly. I wanted to wait until things settled. She kissed him, not caring that they were standing in his glass-walled office in full view of the corridor. Is that a yes? He asked when they finally broke apart. That is absolutely a yes. 6 months later, they stood in a sunlit field outside her grandmother's homestead in the Eastern Cape, surrounded by Naledi's family and a handful of close friends flown in from Korea. The ceremony was small and unhurried. Naledi wore a traditional icicolo and beadwork made by her aunts, and Sung-ho, visibly moved and slightly out of his depth, stood beside her looking entirely happy anyway. I can't believe we're doing this again, Naledi whispered as they waited for the ceremony to begin. Third time really is the charm, Sung-ho said. First was the courthouse in Busan. Second was the gala, in front of 200 witnesses. This one is only for us. I like that. Me too. They exchanged vows in both Korean and ISI Zulu, weaving their 2 worlds together in front of everyone who mattered. When it was over, Naledi's grandmother pulled her aside. He's a good man. Serious but good. He is. And he looks at you like you're the only star in the sky. Naledi glanced over at Sung-ho, currently attempting to follow a traditional dance step and failing charmingly. I'm very lucky. So is he. Back in Durban 2 weeks later, they returned to ordinary life. Meetings, field trips, the occasional office drama. But now when Sung-ho passed Naledi's desk, he could smile at her. When they had late nights at the office, they could leave together. When someone asked about their weekend, they could simply tell the truth. It's strange, Naledi said one evening, cooking dinner together. Being normal. Good strange or bad strange? Good strange. Genuinely good. Sung-ho stirred the pot, thoughtful. Do you ever regret it? Keeping it secret for so long? Naledi considered the question honestly. No. It was hard, maybe the hardest thing we've done together. But it taught us to trust each other completely, to support one another even when nobody was watching. And when we finally told everyone, it meant something real. It wasn't gossip. It wasn't scandal. It was ours. I like that way of looking at it. Also, she added with a grin, the look on everyone's face at the gala was genuinely worth the wait. Thandile put both hands over her mouth. Ms. Yoon actually smiled. She did smile. I saw it happen. They laughed and it felt easy. A year later, Naledi was promoted again. Regional Director of Conservation Programs, overseeing a team of 18 across 3 countries. A few people murmured about favoritism. Her results silenced them faster than any explanation could have. She'd expanded the trust's restoration coverage by 1/3, secured 2 new major funding partners, and earned the respect of even the most skeptical board members. Sung-ho remained director, continuing to steer the foundation into something sustainable and genuinely effective. They were featured together in a regional business magazine, described as the unlikely partnership reshaping ocean conservation funding on the continent. This is surreal, Naledi said, looking at their photo on the page. Which part? All of it. 3 years ago I was just trying to keep a small restoration project alive on a shoestring budget. Now I'm running a regional program and appearing in magazines. 3 years ago I was trying to figure out how to be married to someone I barely got to see. Now I can't imagine my life without you. She looked at him. We've come a long way. We really have. That evening they had dinner with Thandai when her new husband, Given, and his girlfriend, and a handful of colleagues who had quietly become friends along the way. The conversation was easy, full of laughter and inside jokes years in the making. Walking home afterward, Naledi took Sung-ho's hand. Thank you, she said. For what? For pushing me. For seeing something in me before I could see it myself. For being harder on me than on anyone else, when it would have been so much easier to go soft. You don't need to thank me for that. You did the actual work. But you saw it in me first. Sung-ho stopped walking and turned to face her. Do you want to know what I actually see when I look at you? Tell me. Someone who built a program out of almost nothing, in a country that wasn't even hers to begin with. Someone who works harder than anyone I've ever met. Someone who held on to her integrity even when hiding would have been so much easier. Someone who makes me want to be a better version of myself, every single day. Naledi's throat tightened. You're going to make me cry in the middle of the street. Good. You're beautiful when you cry. I'm not crying. You're definitely crying. She laughed and wiped her eyes. Fine. Maybe a little. They walked the rest of the way home in comfortable, unhurried silence. Inside their flat, Naledi kicked off her shoes and collapsed onto the couch. Sung-ho sat beside her. Long day. The longest. But a good one. Yeah. He pulled her close and she curled into his side, listening to the city hum outside their window. Sung-ho. I'm glad it was you. 3 years ago, when we made that completely reckless decision to get married so young. I'm glad it was you. Me too. Even with all the hiding, and the complications and the difficulty of it? Especially because of all that. Easy things don't build what we have. Naledi smiled. When did you get so wise? I married an intelligent woman. Some of it rubbed off. They sat together as the city lights flickered outside their window. 2 people who had started as near strangers thrown together by circumstance, and become genuine partners in every sense that mattered. The secret was gone. The hiding was over. And somehow, finally being allowed to simply exist together, publicly without apology, was even better than either of them had imagined it could be. Because love didn't need an audience to be real. It only needed to be honest. And theirs, in the end, was the most honest thing either of them had ever built. Years later, when people asked them how they made it work, they always gave some version of the same answer. Trust, patience, and understanding that some things worth keeping are worth fighting quietly for, even when nobody is watching. Even if the fight means pretending to be strangers in a lift. Even if it means watching from across a crowded room while your chest aches. Even if it means waiting for the right moment instead of grabbing the convenient one. Because in the end, the waiting made the truth sweeter. The hiding made the honesty more powerful. And the struggle made the outcome mean absolutely everything. Naledi Kumalo had come into that job uncertain, underestimated, hoping only to keep a fragile restoration project alive. She built a career, a reputation, and a marriage that proved love could survive almost anything. Even corporate audits. Even public scrutiny. Even the peculiar challenge of being secretly married to the man reviewing her entire life's work. And when younger scientists at the trust asked her advice, asked how she balanced any of it, she always told them the same thing. Find someone who pushes you to become more than you thought you could be. Someone who sees your potential even on the days you can't see it yourself. Someone willing to wait for the right moment instead of forcing a convenient one. And then hold on to them with everything you have. That's it, they'd ask. That's it. Because sometimes the most complicated love stories carry the simplest truths at their center. And sometimes the best partnerships are the ones nobody sees coming. Especially when one of you is auditing a marine conservation budget, and the other is just trying to survive Tuesday morning meetings without accidentally making eye contact. But they figured it out. Together. The way they figured out everything. One meeting, one quiet glance across a conference room, one small act of trust at a time. Until the secrets stopped mattering. Until all that was left was the truth they'd known from the very beginning. They were better together. In work, in life, in everything that counted. And no amount of hiding could ever have changed that. So if you're out there right now holding on to something important, waiting for the perfect moment, wondering if the timing will ever line up, here's what Naledi and Sung-ho eventually learned. The perfect moment doesn't exist. You build it yourself. You fight quietly for it. And when you finally step into the light and tell the truth, the people who actually matter will understand. The ones who don't were never worth hiding for in the first place. So take the risk. Tell the truth. Hold the hand you actually want to hold. Love the person you actually want to love. And let everything else sort itself out. Because 3 years of pretending taught them one undeniable thing. Honesty, even when it's terrifying, is always better than the alternative. Always. So that's the story of Naledi and Sung-ho. Proof that love doesn't need an audience to be real. If this story moved you even a little, if you found yourself rooting for them, do me one last favor. Subscribe to this channel, drop a comment telling me what stayed with you, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because everyone deserves a love story where they never have to hide who they are. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep believing in love, keep fighting for what matters, and remember that the best things are almost always worth waiting for.